Hey guys, so I want to share with you how to deal with overwhelm. And the first thing I want to say is that the way that I title these videos are intentionally designed to speak to a way that you're thinking about your experience. And so the words overwhelm and deal with are very specific. Um, they're both how you may be thinking about it, and if you are, then that's actually how I want to help you with it. So I'm going to tell you in a minute how to deal with overwhelm in a way that's probably going to be in a different way than you might expect, completely a different take on it. But before I do that, I also want to say that these videos are available in very short form summaries of text that I send out by email. I call them Creating Insights. They go out a couple times a week by email, so usually I speak for 5 to 10 minutes. Or you can get these videos, you can get these videos in a very short form piece of text, just the essence of the video summarized, and you can grab that in your email inbox. So just click the link, subscribe at my website, and you'll get those. You can obviously unsubscribe at any time. But let's go back into how to deal with overwhelm. The first thing you want to see is that the use of the word overwhelm to describe your experience is not just an innocent, innocuous description. It's actually an act of creation, and that word is violent. I mean, think about what it means, overwhelm. It comes from the idea of turning a boat over and then submerging it in water. To whelm is to submerge, to turn it over and submerge it. So by describing your experience as I am overwhelmed, you're actually taking your experience and you're creating a narrative around it where I've been flipped over and I'm underwater. And so you're not just saying what's happening. Yes, it's important to acknowledge your state of being, but when you create a narrative around it, that I'm totally submerged, I'm totally in a space of victimhood, then you're kind of screwed, because then you have to get yourself out of not only the feeling, but also the story that you've wrapped yourself up in. So the first thing is you don't want to speak that way about your experience. And then the next piece is, what you want to look at is if you're using the language, which on some level, if you've clicked on this video, you will be resonating with the language of how to deal with overwhelm. So the idea of dealing with something presupposes that that thing is a matter of fact and it's intact, and the only thing I can do is to deal with it, to manage it, to try to control it, to put up with it. And so that's another way of saying the experience that I'm having is, it's a circumstance that I can't do anything but meet and manage and contend with. It can't not be. The situation, the water, the overturning is something that just is, and I just have to figure out how to make my way with that. And so the response that I want you to really see is that it takes looking at even the idea that I must deal with this as actually problematic, because by coming from a place of what I must do is deal with this, I'm actually standing in a place with a perspective that means I am a victim to the circumstance of my situation. There are things that I have to do. I don't have any choice. I am not free. And therefore, and those things are too many, and therefore I must deal with them. And how can I deal with them without it being overwhelmed? It's like, how can I have this many things that I have to do? Hold on, bud. Without being overwhelmed. But the real problem is that you don't actually have to do these things. It's the belief that you do, that you don't have any choice, that creates so many have-tos in your world, in your phenomenology, in your experience, that then has you, because that's just a matter of fact, then therefore I'm feeling overwhelmed, and so how do I deal with that? Because I can't change the circumstances. I have to. I have to feed my son when it's time to feed him. I have to take care of my other son when he's having a tough time. I have to make money. I have to get my sleep. I have to. This is actually the idea of having this choice, needing to, is actually a narrative. It's a concept in which you relate to experience, and that generates a burden. It generates water over your head. And then you feel overwhelmed, and then the only thing that you can imagine that you could possibly do is figure out a way to deal with that overwhelm. But what I'm really saying to you is that you don't have to deal with overwhelm. You don't even have to experience overwhelm. If you realize that you don't have to do anything. You actually don't, look, does he have to do anything? No, but he's a baby, yeah. Everything that you think you have to do is a story that you learned since you were a baby. And so you can actually just look at it and be like, there's nothing I have to do. I don't have to take care of my kids. They might die. I don't want that, but I don't have to. And that's an important difference. That might sound like it's not very significant for you. And if that's true, that difference, if that's not significant for you, whether you have to or want to, then I want to suggest to you that finding significance between wanting to and having to could change your life. Could change your life, because the experience of wanting to opens the heart, gives you a sense of love and joy and possibility and power. The experience of having to crushes your heart, collapses your creativity, your will to live. So when I have to take care of my son, he's a burden. When I want to take care of my son, he fills me with energy. It's literally the difference between the two. One just destroys your energy, sucks it out of you, and the other one actually liberates your energy, gives you energy, feeds you energy. Wanting to versus having to. So if you want to learn how to deal with your overwhelm, first thing, stop talking about it as overwhelmed. Second thing, realize that if I'm trying to deal with it, then I'm forgetting that it doesn't have to exist in the first place. And then, in remembering it doesn't have to exist in the first place, look for how you're generating the idea that you have to do things. And realize, I don't have to do it. So see, oh, I thought I had to do that. I don't have to do that. And then you find out, do I actually want to do it? Do I want to do this? I have to do this thing for my boss. Do I want to do it? Well, no. But do I want to keep my job? Yes. And so would this serve me in that? And oh yeah, well then I want to do it because I want to keep my job. And so sometimes it's a few degrees of separation away. And what's the difference? It's like, well, I have to do it to keep my job. No, I want to keep my job. And so I want to do it to keep my job. Is this just semantics? No. Wanting and having are two different phenomenologies. And your phenomenology creates your state of being and your way of seeing the world and your emotional state. And so it's actually the way that you look at it, your attitude attenuates your experience. So living in a state of I only do what I want and I don't have to do anything liberates you from overwhelm, because it removes the possibility for overwhelm. If this idea is interesting to you, I'd love you to subscribe to my channel. I'd love to hear from you in a comment. I'd love you to hit the thumbs up like button wherever you are here watching this video. And if you've been watching my videos for a while and you'd like to get deeper into this work, then I would love you to join Creating School. There's hours and hours and hours of deep work classes that I've recorded with my coaching clients. And if you've been doing that work for a while, if you really want to get into it, then the way to do that is to spend a year with me in conversation, at least a year. I do private partnerships, and I have a small group called Creators Circle, where we dialogue around ideas over the course of a year in ways that actually change how you represent reality, how you see yourself, and it develops in you the capacity to create yourself in your world, which can lead you to creating any results that you want in the material world as well. Spiritual growth, material success, happiness, peace, money, joy. My name is John Patrick Morgan, if you didn't know that already. Subscribe. Talk to you soon. I love you. Bye for now.